Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Z. Today we're going to cover the Lion, the next iteration of an assembly tank, and I'll explain that just a little bit later. You can navigate down below to whichever section you are looking for. I'll be going through the stats of the Lion, followed by the event that is going to be a part of, followed by the gameplay and some further in-depth commentary. Let's get into it. So, going over the stats, this is the loadout that I ran. I was running full purple, so vertical stabilizer, vents, turbo. Um, all of these are kind of my preference. Some people might use aiming unit, some people might use other combinations. I think vertical stabilizer is a must because of the gun handling. Vents, it's just going to make everything better, and because it is an auto reloader, it'll also reduce your reload. And then turbo, this thing without a turbo has really bad reverse speed, and it also has just okay power to weight. Turbo makes quite a big difference. I'm also running food as normal, along with I'm just putting BIA recon situational awareness. For the field mods, I don't like selecting anything for the first one. Here, I decided to make the aiming size of aiming circle smaller, but made the dispersion during movement worse. I like accuracy. I do actually balance things out throughout this, where I actually uh, kind of increase some things, but then decrease it throughout. So, for example, I uh, increased the reverse speed because, like I said, it was bad to begin with. It's only 15. And then I also here, I reduced my reload time, but then I bumped up my aiming circle size again. So just back to what it was before this and all the other additions that I have. And then over here, I actually um, increased my aiming speed because the aim time is really bad, and I reduced the power to weight a little bit, but turbo kind of overacts it more than this reduces it. So that's what I'm saying, some give and take right there. Getting into the stats, it does have very high DPM. This is because of the third shell. This shell right here, if you fire your first two shells and then you just continually fire your third shell and only reload that, you're going to have a very good single shot gun with 420 alpha. And that's how you want to do any engagement. You, of course, want to start with all your shells. You have 4.5 seconds in between shots. So you fire your first one, 4.5, fire your second one, 4.5, fire your third one, and then instead of waiting the 4.5 to put out your fourth shell, you wait a little over 6.5. So you only have to wait 2 more seconds than normal, and you have another shell. And then you can just keep doing that over and over. So, real quick, with everything that I have, 2.2 second aim time, 0.29 accuracy, decent dispersion values, top speed of 66 with a reverse speed of 21. Both of these are really good. Power to weight, not exceptional, but I did bump it up with turbo, so up to 21. And remember, I did bring it down to make my aiming time better. If you use off-road driving, it will definitely improve that. So there we go. Brings it up to 58 as opposed to the 40. So I would highly recommend that in case you're driving down the Lakeville Valley or such. The V range with all of this, 473, standard tier 10. Your crew loadout is, I believe, identical to the Progetto 65. So you just move your crew over. 9 degrees of gun depression all the way around. It is a good Ridgeline Warrior. And then shells, I recommend firing the APCR, 323 pen, 1400 meters per second shell velocity. The AP is only 258 pen and only 1080 meters per second shell velocity. Doesn't really make sense. Which, unfortunately, that's how Wargaming has been doing it, but in this case, you really only want to fire the one shell anyways because you are an auto reloader. Quickly looking at the armor model, it is kind of like a Leo. doesn't really have armor. You might bounce a couple of shells, especially if you're firing APCR at it. So these are auto ricochet if you are with APCR. You might bounce a couple off the mantlet, especially against lower tiers, this 290, 300 effective, you'll actually be able to bounce stuff. So when you're top tier, you can actually go hull down and bounce shells. The rest of it, very bad. 30, 35 on the side. The front is 70 and 50, so you could even be penned by high explosive rounds from certain tanks. Now real quick, I'm going to cover the event that this will be a part of. Like I said, it's going to be part of an assembly shop the same way as the 780. So I have the article up from the 780. This is just the old article, how it worked. Essentially, you can use one of 6 or a combination of 6 resources to get the entirety of the cost of the 780. These are not the numbers. They actually are slightly higher for the Lion. I'll show that in a second. As with the 780, free experience is where you want to put your resources if you have free experience. Otherwise, part with the resource you want the least. Blueprints are not going to be as effective as before. Credits, I think, are the absolute worst to use. Gold, if you're using gold, just convert to free XP. Don't use the gold, convert to free XP. Bonds, if you have the bonds, go for it, but I would not recommend it. And this is why right here. So if you're only using gold, 55,000 gold to get the full amount, 125 million credits, 1 million free XP, or 50,000 bonds, or crazy amounts of blueprints. But with the blueprints, you can only use a certain percentage, so you will have to use other resources. You can't only use blueprints. Again, my recommendation, stick with free XP. Don't use credits, don't use gold, go free XP. Maybe you can toss some bonds in if you don't have all the free XP. I wouldn't recommend putting blueprints in unless you have a huge stockpile and you don't know what else to use them for. Just go free XP. Just that is what my math told me. If you did a 1 to 40 conversion on your free XP, which I know people continue to convert, it's only like 25,000 gold versus 55,000. It is a significant difference. And then the actual amounts, of course, these are always subject to change, but on the NA server, the total should be about 15,000, with 5,000 having the style and only 10,000 with no style. And on the EU server, it'll be about 65,000 with 22,000 having the style and 43,000 not having the style. So at this point, let's get into some gameplay. Now, this game isn't my best game. I actually messed up. I didn't hit record on the replays on the press account, and so I actually don't have my really good games. Yes, quite unfortunate. My first 2 games were around 7,000, and then I had a bad game, and then a decent game, and then this one. This thing really does a good job at dishing out damage in the middle of the battle. At the beginning, it's not as good at dumping damage like a TVP or even the Progetto that has a 2.5 second intra clip. I'm going to wait until I get my 3rd shell here. And I'm just auto aiming because I have good shell velocity. Now, I'm not sure I needed to ram there, just because that actually did a lot of damage to me as well. But anyways, if you see, I keep waiting for my 3rd shell here. I could dump my clip, which I do. So there's my 3rd shell, and then I'm just waiting. It's only that 6.7 seconds to reload that. So, again, no reason to fire your last shell unless you are about to die, or the tank that you are shooting, like if you're chasing damage at the end of the game, will die in less than 2 seconds. Um, like you won't be able to get your uh, full reload in for the third shell. But look at that, we're already at 2.2k damage, and this game was just pretty quick so far. You can see the mobility. The 420 alpha is really nice. I think this is one of the best pub tanks coming out in a while. It's a lot like the Leo in the way that it can drive. It will troll you sometimes, I will tell you that. The gun sometimes just doesn't hit what you want, which is why your field mods are kind of personal preference. You could change some of them to get the full accuracy, or you can go exclusively aim time. You can drop the turbo if you really want. I don't recommend it. You could drop the vents. Again, I don't really recommend it. Even though I'm not doing anything right here, I'm already at 3.8k damage. Like, that's a really good game for tier 10. I guess at this point, the real question that you guys might be wondering is it worth it? In my opinion, yes. If you have the free XP, go for it. If you don't have the free XP, I mean, it's going to come down to what you want, because I don't think it's worth the other resources. 25,000 gold's worth of free XP if you converted it on sale, which I highly recommend always converting at 1 to 40s, 1 to 35s, just so you have free XP laying around either for field mods, for tech tree tanks, or I mean, this is going to be the second assembly shop in less than a year. It seems like they're going to keep doing this, so I would recommend stockpiling. I would say no less than 1,000,000 free XP if you have the ability to do so. Having bumped up the reverse speed on this thing so much, I definitely think it's the way to go. It just allows you to poke and then pull back quite effectively. And because this thing does have 9 degrees of gun depression, it's just so flexible. I actually should have fired right there when I got the green reticle, but in any case, that's pretty much the end of this battle. Overall, this thing is quite a lot of fun. I think mediocre to bad players are not going to do anything special in it. They might get, 2,000 damage on average. It's going to be slightly higher maybe than what they might average in other vehicles, but probably not by much, if any. Because it is fast, you can get in trouble very quickly. Because it is an auto reloader, it has a very high skill cap, and of course that also means that good players will make this thing absolutely sing. Like I said, if you can get into those engagements where you are only using that third shell with 6.7 second reload for 420 alpha, oh man, you can dish out so much damage. And of course you can start any engagement with 2 extra shells. So you put 2 in and then you just fire that third shell. So it's not that true autoloader issue where, of course, you can end up having problems because you dump all your shells and then you're sitting there forever to reload that one extra shell to get the kill. No, you just never fire your last shell. Keep firing your third shell, and that is definitely the way to go. My best games had that, where I would dump a couple shells and then I just keep firing that third shell over and over. Let's quickly get to the post-game stats. Of course, this is only a first class. 5,800 damage, nothing super special. Like I said, I had 2 7K games out of my first 5. This is another one. 2 kills. Again, nothing crazy over here. 17 shots fired, 16 hit, 13 penetrations. The 323 pen is definitely nice. You are going to spend a lot on ammunition, but it is a tier 10, so that's to be expected. Anyways, again, to quickly cover things, stats are very good on certain aspects. It is a lot of fun because it is a unique tank. It is a very unique auto reloader. It is not the normal one, nor the reverse. It is a mixture of the two. It is a reverse for the first 3, and then the 4th one is like a normal. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, as long as you remember to never fire more than 3 shells without reloading that 3rd shell again. Is it worth it? In my opinion, yes. Go for the free XP on the assembly shop. On NA at least, I know the 780 didn't fully sell out last time, I believe. I don't know if that'll be the case here as well. The prices did go up. Probably about 5-10% depending on the resource. Free XP last time, it was 800,000 to get it fully. This time it will be 1 million. So not everyone has that laying around. It might not run out. As for the styles, I don't know exactly what it will look like. If it will be worth trying to snipe one of the styles. But overall, if you are a collector, if you like tier 10s, if you have the resources, I think it's a no-brainer. Spend free XP on it. I hope you guys like this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And of course, feel free to subscribe, join my Discord, feel free to message me about anything. Have a good one.